In this video, I want to show you how to solve for some variable in terms of other variables. So a lot of times we're trying to isolate some variable and when we have more than one variable in the equation. And a variable, again, just as a reminder, is just some number that we don't yet know what it is, okay? Usually it's a variable that can be dependent on what's happening in the rest of the equation. And so we often just use a letter or some other symbol than a number to represent that until we want to find out what it is, okay? So let's start with this one. Let's start with 4 times L times W is equal to V. Okay, and our goal here is to find L. And what this means when we say find L, we're going to try to isolate L all by itself, okay? So if we want to try and isolate L all by itself, we have to move, in this case, we have to move the 4 and the W over to the other side of the equation. We can't entirely do away with them in this case, but we can move them. In order to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to divide both sides of the equation by 4 times W, okay? If we divide by 4 times W, that's going to allow us to cancel the 4's, and we're going to cancel the W's, and we're going to end up with L is equal to V over 4W, or 4 times W. We can write it with the multiplication symbol or without it. Either way is fine. Okay, so here we have L is equal to V over 4 times W. And that would be our final answer. So all we're doing is we're dividing out the variables that we don't want with L, and then we write the final answer. Okay, very similar here. We have E is equal to 10 times G times H. Okay, and our goal here is to find G. So we want to isolate G all by itself. So in this case, we're going to divide this side by 10 times H. And then we also have to divide this side by 10 times H. So when we do that, this 10 is going to cancel and this H is going to cancel. And so we're going to be left with G is equal to E divided by 10 times H. And that would be your final answer here. Okay. Now let's take a look at this one. This one's a little bit more complicated, but still not too bad. Okay, we're going to have to do this in a couple of steps here, okay? We can't quite do this in just one step. Our goal here is to find Z when we have X divided by Y times Z equals 6. Okay, well, the first thing we probably want to do, I'm going to move this so I can have a little more space here, is we want to try to take the Z here out of the denominator. Okay, that's the first thing we want to do. That's going to make this whole thing quite a bit easier. So let's start by multiplying both sides of this equation by Z. Now, this might seem kind of weird because we're going to try to cancel this Z here, but it's all right because we're keeping the Z on the right-hand side. So this equation is going to end up being X over Y is equal to 6 times Z. Okay, so now that we have that, to find Z by itself, all we have to do is divide both sides by 6, okay? Or in this case, it might actually be easier to look at this as multiplying by 1 over 6. Okay, so if we divide by 6, it's the same thing as multiplying by 1 over 6, but in either case, we can cancel the 6's here, and then we're going to end up with Z is equal to X over Y times 1 over 6. And here we can just multiply straight across, and we have X over 6Y. So Z is equal to X over 6Y.